To add your 9000 hardware to the PremiSys site tree, first go to Task, Hardware Configuration. Having more than one site is optional. Right-click the Channels folder to add a new COM port. The best name for this channel will be the equivalent COM port number in IdenpaSS. Computer is the PremiSys server name. COM type should be Network Out if this is an Ethernet port. If the PremiSys controller is wired back to a serial port on the PremiSys server, change COM type to Serial. Now add the PremiSys controller. We'll use a 2-reader controller. Be sure to use a MUX board if you need one, between the controller and the 9000 hardware. Right-click the controller's folder. The best name for a controller is the location where it's installed, like an IDF closet, or the doors it will monitor. Be sure to select the matching controller type. Enter the IP address and the US time zone where the controller is installed. On the I/O COM tab, change this to 9600 baud. If this were a PoE controller, you would see a checkbox here. Be sure to check it, or you won't be able to add your 9000 hardware. Moving on. Assign daylight savings and holidays. Access settings is where these were configured. If you don't have a card database to choose, you'll have to go back to Access Settings and create one before you can download to this controller. Since this is a 2-reader controller, an onboard I/O board automatically generated. Notice that 2 doors were also auto-generated. If you aren't using the onboard reader ports, delete these doors so you don't end up with fictitious doors in your site tree. Now let's add the 9000 panel. The best name for the I/O board is whatever the 9000 panel was called in IdenpaSS. Right-click the I/O boards folder under your new controller and select Add I/O board. Select 4-reader board. Don't worry about what to do if you have a reader expansion card. PremiSys assumes you do. The address must be unique. The range is 0 through 31 per MSP port. My 2-reader controller only has one I/O COM bus, but an IP controller has 2 MSP ports for I/O communications. You indicate which port using this drop-down field. On an IP controller, you could have 2 I/O board number 1s on 2 different ports. Keep in mind this MSP port is on the PremiSys controller, regardless of whether or not there is a MUX board in between. Incidentally, there are no setup fields for MUX boards in the software. If in IdenpaSS this panel's physical address was 1, use the dip switch conversion chart in the PremiSys hardware manual to determine its I/O address in PremiSys. You should add them in as the conversion chart states. 8 doors were generated. This is in case you have a reader expansion card. If you don't, delete doors 5 through 8. If you happen to install a reader expansion card later, these doors can be added back into the site tree.